Welcome to Soulful Practices Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Holling-Brooks, and over the past 20 years, I have been on a journey of healing and awakening. I'm also a coach and practitioner for clients on their journey of unbridling their true self. The number one question I'm asked is, what meditation or practice will help me reach my goals? While there is no one meditation or secret mantra that will unlock our own awakening, there is a doorway that will lead us there. And that's the doorway of learning and cultivating the skills of self-reflection and contemplation. Each episode of this podcast offers you pocket teachings and practices that you can implement right away to help you courageously connect with living your authentic soul-led life. Let's dive into this week's episode. Hello, everybody. Michelle Holling-Brooks here, and I am so excited that you have joined me for episode 33 of Soulful Practices podcast. I've been on a bit of a break as I have been working feverishly behind the scenes on a couple different projects, and one of them I went ahead and gave you a sneak peek for, so if you're new to my channel, you might want to click on the videos and look for the one that says Introduction to Season 6 of Connecting with Joy. And so I just launched season 6 of my membership community. It has a private podcast and a beautiful community that allows you to be able to dive in to how to connect with more joy and more laughter, more love, more abundance and health and wellness, all the things. And that's what we do in that container of Connecting with Joy. We just launched season 6, and it is one of my favorite seasons so far because it is where I get to showcase some tools that I don't normally get to bring forward in their glory. And so this season, we are working with initiations of the elements within. So we all have within us 4 basic elements: fire, earth, air, and water. And in season 6 of Connecting with Joy, we are going to be working with how do we allow ourselves to reconstellate, to shift from the way in which these elements had to adapt to the environment that we were trying to survive and navigate and live in. And therefore it sculpted us, the very essence of us, in very certain ways. There are stories and beliefs, some of them that we know and some of them that are very hidden. And in addition to the guide of the elements, we're going to be walking through the astrological and archetypal wheel as developed through the lens of Carolyn Myss's archetypal system for self-growth and illumination. I can't wait. This season is super exciting. So if you missed where I went ahead and shared that first episode from inside the membership community, go ahead and click over there now. You might really find that. Okay, so for Soulful Practices, for what I wanted to bring forward for this week to invite you into was something that I have been personally working on, and a bunch of my clients also have been bringing this forward, and they love to share with me, and I love it too. One of my favorite quotes, in fact, I think I've shared it at this point in one of the seasons of Soulful Practices, which is Ram Dass's, who's a spiritual kind of teacher and a leader from early on in the New Age kind of movement. And he said, "Be here now." And what he said, his words echo pretty much every spiritual mystic and teacher that has ever shared about awakening and enlightenment, that our power is right here, right now in this moment. We don't have power to shift or change or to influence as much as we do right here in this moment. And so that's that whole teaching of bring your energy into the present time, as Carolyn Myss said. But I have one caveat, one change, one missing piece that is often eluded in these different ways of which we say, just be here now. And I invite clients to switch up this statement to be who you are now. Let me just say that again. Be who you are now. In this moment, who do you want to be? How do you want to be? And trust me, with each breath, we have an opportunity to align, to course correct, to witness an old habit and then say, does that still match me now? To me, the journey of awakening, healing, a consciousness, whatever word you want to put on this is about giving us and unlocking our ability to choose. Do we stay stuck on that fated karmic wheel of this is who I was in the past, this is who it said I was, this is who this experience sculpted me to be? Or do we allow ourselves to break free from those sometimes gilded cages and sometimes flat out dungeon cells that we have ourselves in, and allow ourselves and give ourselves permission to reflect in our language, in our choices, in how we work in our space? Do we allow ourselves to update? Do we allow ourselves to edit? Do we allow ourselves to deeply honor and then release an old way of being so that we can open to who we are now? So that's my one thing. I love this statement, be here now, from Ram Dass, but I'd like to invite you to be who you are now, to let that mantra really kind of filter through. Is this who I am now? I know how I would typically respond. I know how I want to respond, but is this how I truly want to respond? Right? And you might be incredibly surprised to recognize that when you make that choice, and you say, you know what, I want to show up differently. Or you know what, I don't want to keep having this conversation that I've had 60 million times. I'm going to put my hand up and say, hold up. I need a moment. We're on a train that I don't want to be on. So give me a moment. Let me switch gears. When we allow ourselves and give ourselves permission to change, to match our guidance, and to show up in alignment with our guidance, you will be surprised by the amount of energetic pushback that comes and really wrestles with us between like, hey, I know you just had this inspiration, the air within you, but you're fighting the earth within you. You're fighting the way the fire within you said, this is how you can shine. This is who you can be. This is who you cannot be, right? And there's these almost echoes all the way around us of all these different energetic fields that are really pushing at us. They're really influencing us. They're trying to erode our willingness to be in alignment with that which is wanting to come forward. Excuse me, as I was talking about those energetic fields that underride and try to erode us, it was like there was a gripping sensation happening at my throat, and so I just had to pause for a moment and bring it. But that's exactly what happens. Our fifth chakra constricts. It starts to tighten. It starts to get a shakiness in us. That high heart gets a little nervous, the belly area and those chakras get a little tense and uncertain. And slowly, slowly, we start to erode the level of conviction, alignment with all of our systems saying yes to the wisdom and the guidance that we heard of how we are wanting to show up in that moment. So, what are these different energetic fields and and how do they impact us? Well, I'd love to take you for a little walk around your energy system. First off, they're both personal and collective. So we have within us these energetic signatures that are within our physical body, right? Everyone's heard of muscle memory. Like we don't have to relearn how to walk every day, and we don't have to relearn how to talk and how to read language. Those are all energetic programs that we have installed in our own system and allowing ourselves to have that automatic memory, right? Those automatic ways in which we work. Mentally, we have thoughts and belief systems and survival systems that are the same thing, that are installed in our system. One of my favorite examples that I love to give, because it hopefully doesn't ruffle too many feathers, is if our parent in our world discovered one day that when they wore red socks, that they felt empowered, they felt lucky, they felt good, and that they had enough days, maybe not consistently, but enough, where on those days when they wore those red socks, good things happen. Then on a day that we're really nervous and we're upset and we're like, oh, I don't know if I can do it today, they go, oh, I know what to do. And they pop on those little red socks on us and they go, okay, this is it. When you wear these red socks, you are powerful. You are a force to be reckoned with. You can do anything you want, and luck is all around us. And so our little being goes, ooh, that's it. And then we feel the red socks. We feel that power that's coming from them. And we step out on that stage of life and we rock it out. If it goes well, we go, whoa, that really worked. And our system goes, check. that is a survival pattern that we want to keep, right? Or if it goes horrifically and we try it again, it goes horrifically again, then we get the opposite. We say, you know what, red socks work for them, but it doesn't work for me. I never want to wear red socks on those days. And so that's a really simplified version, but it's the same thing of how belief systems work in us. We have somebody who teaches us, implied or explicit, and then from there we try it out. If it works, it becomes a reality. If it doesn't work, then we put that in another column and we get a different type of program that comes from that. And so we have all of these habitual mental being thoughts and belief systems and survival systems and programs that truly do just run automatically. We don't even realize it. Like how we think and what we say, we're not actually consciously thinking of a lot of that a lot of the time. It just happens, right? Our heart, our beautiful heart, it holds versions of ourselves, right? These fractured off, exiled parts of ourselves, these unmet needs, these moments where we're stuck in a room of shock or terror or overwhelm or loneliness or feeling unseen, betrayed. These are all these different places that our mental being says, whoa, if we go too close to that part of us, if we see it, if we hear it, if we let it talk to us, it's going to disrupt our social engagement system of what we need to stay safe. It's going to disrupt our mental faculties of how much we can handle. And so that was true at one point. The point that it exiled that in our system, we have to believe that it absolutely was what we needed to do to survive. It has exquisite reasons. And when our heart though holds it and it keeps it safe and it tucks it in like a little pearl, right, in our system. But our mind then gets scared of it. And so it cuts it off. However, those parts of us, those fractured off parts of us, impact us. They talk, they listen, they hear, they feel, they express. And whether we're consciously connecting with them or not, they are influencing our very thoughts, our very way in which we see the world, in which we hear the world, in which we feel the world, right? And so our heart also holds our current time desires. So in addition to these wounded parts of us, it holds our inspiration, our dreams, what we want, what we want to like explore, what we want to dance with in this lifetime that comes from those inspirations of our soul. And how amazing is that? So all of these are internally within us, pushing on us, pulling on us. And when we get an idea that says, hey, you felt this from your heart, let's reach out to so and so. They're on my mind. We slam into a whole bunch of energetic fields within ourselves that restrict that, judge that, and take it to the side, right? Okay. So another way in which the fields are impacting us are environmentally. So there's things called morphogenic fields, and they're the collective and environmental fields. So within the spaces that we are in, literally we leave energetic signatures, little ghosts, if you want to imagine it that way, of past versions of ourselves. So places that we really dwell in, like our homes or schools or favorite places in the park or any place that we really either in a positive way or not so positive way, really inhabit, we leave an imprint there. And anybody walking through that can feel that. Empaths, highly sensitive peoples, but regular bodies feel it too. It's like, though, are they able to register it? And so much of what I help clients recognize and begin to figure out how to sort and dismantle are these energetic waves that they're walking through. And if they don't know, they're picking them up. Just like if you don't come home and wash your hands at the end of the day, everything that you touched has interacted with you. And then if that interacts with the mucus surface within you, we might have a problem, we might not, depending on how good your system is at cleansing and clearing itself internally via that immune system. So the same thing works in our energetic system with that. So there are past hopes, and And these aren't just like, oh, I walked through somebody's energy field. No, everything that they were feeling and thinking and pumping and really resonating with, you can tap into. It's a full book if you really want to do it. I don't recommend it. I had a spiritual teacher at one time tell me like I was shoplifting to go into other people's energies, like signatures that we all just leave behind. And so it's the hopes, the dreams, the fears, the joys, the worries. It all lingers in those spaces, especially those fractured and wounded aspects of us, both personally and collectively, can be felt for centuries around, especially if there's a high concentration of them. Memories of others. So here is a type of field that most people don't think of. Have you ever thought about like, this is who I am now? I feel really good with it. I love who I am. I love how I talk. I love how I think. I love how I see the world. And overall, you feel really good with you and you feel really solid with you. And then you get around somebody who knew you 10 years ago, who knew you 15 years ago, who knew you in your past. And all of a sudden, you find yourself showing up in a way that you're like almost watching yourself and you're like, what? I'm not this person anymore. Why am I playing this role? Why am I letting this like come out of me? I'm not even making this choice. Like, what the heck is happening, right? Well, what's happening is you are in a tug of war with their mental field projecting onto you who they think you are, right? And so we all do this. Everybody holds tight to a version of somebody for very many different reasons. It might be a version of, I'm thinking as a mom, like I can sometimes look at my daughter and I don't see a beautiful 16-year-old. I see a little 6-year-old, right? And then mom, I'm not 6, right? Like comes in and I'm like, yeah, I know that. And I know that, but I projected that out. Well, why she said that without me even having to say anything is she could feel. She could feel that I just superimposed a version of her over top of her instead of who she really is. Now, my kiddos, I've taught them this intuitive arts from the very beginning. So they call me on it pretty quickly, and I can have nostalgia, but not trying to put her back into the dependency of a 6-year-old. She's like, remember, I'm 16, I'm stretching my wings, I'm starting to learn how to, be that young, beautiful adult and woman that she is becoming and all those other things. And lovingly and luckily, I've done my work to then allow that image to move to the side. I can love it. I can have beautiful love towards that. And I can completely honor who she is now. However, the reality of people giving us that same grace is very hard to come by, right? And even people do it from day to day. We don't slow down to say, who are you today? Who are you in this moment? And who am I in this moment? And in that, you and me, or I and thou, what are we creating between us? That third point, right? And do I allow that to be something new? Or do I continuously try to put it back in the box of what I know? The reality is we all try to put it back in the box of what we know, and therefore we're not here now. And we're definitely not who we are now, and I'm not giving the other person permission to do it. But those fields are strong, they are real, and if you've ever felt somebody holding you in an old way of being and not allowing you to grow, to shift, to change, you know what I'm talking about, and it does not feel good. We do it to others, it's natural, and what we want to do is invite ourselves to release that. One of the things I've learned from working with horses over the years is this. Horses do not allow you, if they're free, if they're been able to say what they want and see as a sentient being and be a free, beautiful individual and not have to conform to these weird human restrictions that we put on other ones, they will say hi to me. Say hi to me right now. Let me feel into who you are in this moment, and I want you to feel into who I am. And from here, we're going to have a dialogue. If I just go out there and assume that our relationship is right where it was when I left the barn yesterday, I'm going to get humbled pretty quick because all of the horses that I partner with out at Unbridled Change, they've all been given permission pretty much from me to them and them to me for each of us to be who we are now, right? So the memories of others can be super tricky. And people hold tight to them, and they hold tight to them because that is how they hold tight to themselves. So again, we don't do this for just giggles. Every behavior we have, every energetic field that we're holding tight to, we do it for either a protective and survival reason, we do it for a personal wants and needs reason, or kind of never. It's those two. Because the cosmic, the impersonal, the divine, our heart is going to run more with what I'm talking about now. It's going to say, yes, we can love the relationship we've had in the past, but I'm inviting you to be in the present too. And both are true. We can have a beautiful day here, but I need to invite myself to always check in with who's here now, personally and for the other. And so the final type of field that really pushes on us and it's super strong, and right now, really these big M fields, these big morphogenic collective fields are really rocking and rolling. And they're up for transition. They're up for transformation. They're up for saying, hey, we are entering that new age, that age of Aquarius. Well, what does that mean? It means we're looking to literally change ourselves from this very survival, codependent kind of tribal way of working to really honoring both the individual and joyful service to each other. Like, what would that look like if we honored that each individual was also an integral part in the whole, and that we have to start running as a whole and not as a tribal being, right? We've got to stop being caterpillars that just trying to chompy everything in and kill the tree, right? That it's living in. And how do we go into the goo, find those beautiful imaginal cells, and realize there's a way to come forward as something that gives back. So the caterpillar goes from a consumer, something that just chompy, and destroys everything in its path, to giving back, right? A pollinator, a way in which it really kind of helps break down that old that is no longer necessary, and also can see and be in many different levels of self, right? Because it can now fly and move and do all the things. So these big fields that I'm going to talk about next, they're up for that. They're up for transformation. So the collective fields are the ones that determine the categories, like people and traits and patterns. So archetypal patterns kind of come in here, and each age has different patterns associated with them that kind of help hold that pattern, that collective consciousness together, right? Labels. These are what we should do. This is what we shouldn't do. This is what is okay. This is what is not okay. All these things are up for shifting right now. These are fields that also come from our lineage, so our heritage. These are fields that come from our individual family stories, both as our nucleus of our family, and then, like I said, out into that more, these are my people, this is what this was. These are the community stories, right? Of who founded that community, what is the heritage of that land, what were the disputes, the fights, the carnage that's in that wake. That's in our story. This is our country's stories. This is also professional stories, organizational stories. If you are in a profession, or in a class, or in a this, or in a that, it comes with a heavy backpack of burdens, of beliefs, and ways of being. And honestly, this age is about unplugging. Unplug, and plug into what? Plug into soul. But what does that mean? It means we have to be conscious of our choice, right? Because these different things that we've been plugged in have helped hold the fabric of, quote, human civilization together, but doesn't need to stay in the same way it is. These are all questions that are up for us right now. So all of these fields, these habits, collectively, interpersonally, and personally all are pushing on us, pulling on us, prodding, tapping us on the shoulder. And when that inspiration from our soul comes in that might challenge one of those, you better believe they get off the bench, they flex their muscles, and out they come. So these fields, these habits, these ways of being are very real. They have a strong influence on us. And it's much better to know about them because then you can start to identify it. Oh, I can feel when the person wants me to show up this way. Does that match who I am now? And do I need to show up that way in order to remain in a bond with them? Do I need to have safety in that? Or can I lovingly give myself permission to be something different? Be something current, be who I want to be, right? And then do I give that same permission to them? And so this is why I love this work of waking up, of this consciousness, because when we give ourselves permission to be who we are now, I give the other permission to be who they are. And I let go of my hidden ways that I really do try to control the world within me and the world around me in order for me to have a felt sense of safety. And instead, I start to pass that baton away from control and I pass it to faith. I pass it to that somehow, some way, no matter what that situation brings forward, if I can find my heart and I can soften and I can listen to it, that is going to give me the guidance, the wisdom, and the inspiration to be here now and how to be here now. That's the key, right? So, one of the things that I love to give to my clients, it's based off of that good old coach thing, and this is why coaches do this, is to, like coaches will say, hey, pick a drawer, pick a closet, pick a something and clean it out, update it, donate that which you no longer need, throw out the junk and the broken stuff and reorganize it the way that it works for you now. Now you know what they're up to. They're giving your psyche a literal task that will clean the different energy. Because when you go into that closet and you go into that drawer or you go onto that bookshelf or that corner of your desk that you just kind of like look at and walk away from, when you do that, you're going through your history. You're going through all these energetic fields and you're going to touch things that you're like, you might have unfinished business with or unmet needs or judgment or shame or bittersweet nostalgia, like all these different things. And it's going to ask you each piece of paper, each clothing item you pick, there's going to be a conversation that says, can we really change? Can we really allow ourselves to shift? I mean, this is kind of broken and it doesn't do any good, but it did. And then we get stuck to that piece of attachment. And so then we're literally hemorrhaging out all over our timeline. And so, why does this little habit of walking in and cleaning off a shelf or updating a space or doing something like that in a little form work? Because it challenges the status quo. And do I continuously meet the saboteur, which is just a natural, like, think of it as a gatekeeper. It's going to ask you, like, hey, are you really ready to deal with the person that said, why'd you throw that away? Are you really willing to deal with a person that might say, well, what happened to this? I thought I wanted to use it, especially if we're sharing space with somebody else, right? Are you willing to hold true to yourself? Or are you going to back off and crumble? And the saboteur gets a bad rap because we think it's there to make our life not so fun. But really, what it's there to do is keep us from entering into regret. If we can just answer yes, yes, yes to all those questions and keep moving forward, pick up the thing, put it in the Goodwill pile, take it to the Goodwill or whatever is your donation center of choice, or take it to the curb, or take it to the composting, or do whatever it wants to do. If we can actually do that, the saboteur looks at us, gives us a little wink and says, you're good. You're golden. When that happens, if that happens, you are going to be able to hold center. You are empowered. You have claimed your power for the first time. And that is exactly the conversation that we want to have with ourselves, but in a loving way. Because what we do sometimes is bully ourselves through that change. And what I invite my clients to do is the exact opposite. I invite my clients to pull up a chair to the parts of ourselves that are going to be nervous, that are going to be worried, these different trauma responses and protective programs that are going to pop up. Right. And I like to do it through the 4 survival archetypes, but you can do it however it works for you. But having that dialogue in which you allow yourself to say, okay, I realize that this is going to shift things. That when I throw away this seemingly half broken thing of whatever, that I'm really making a declaration to the universe that says, I'm ready to clear out the old so I can bring myself into present time. And when I bring myself into present time, I have power choice moments. Choices that I now am setting up a different future, because the future was just already going to follow this automatic karmic wheel, right? But if I make a power choice, I stop that wheel and I pause it and I say, I want to implement a new ripple. And it starts to harmonize, neutralize, shift, change the whole makeup, because there is no space and time, right? And so, what I invite clients to do, and this is what I'm going to invite you to do this week, is pick a little space. Some little space. Don't, I mean, you can take on a closet if you want. We're in spring cleaning mode. You can take on whatever. But what we're not doing is just cleaning out. What we're doing is we're updating. So pick a bookshelf, if you have like a sacred altar area or something like that, or a meditation area, or, just you have a small place of mementos somewhere in your world, and pick it small. Don't like be like, I'm gonna do a whole wall. That's too big. That's a saboteur number 1 trap to like get into, is we try to supersize things. No supersizing. Keep it small. So pick one thing and think, let me look at this space and ask, what parts of me does it reflect? Current time, past, honoring pieces that I want to honor, things that I used to love but maybe no longer, maybe a color, maybe a texture, maybe a picture. Like, can I allow myself and give myself permission to update this so that it matches my current hopes and dreams, what I want to honor right now? Can I allow the space to go from memorial to breathing, living, honoring, having flow to it, right? So the intention is, if you're willing to set it with me, is to ask for Reiki energy to help bring your attention to the different ways that you can swap out or change the literal things in a small space in your life over the next week. And really allow yourself to, one, honor that which it comes up as you pick up a piece. Remember, you are touching little different energy fields that come with the whole book. Who, what, when, where, why, and how is sitting in that thing from the perspective of the you that created that. So it doesn't mean it's 100% truth. It means it's coming through a lens that is related to the level of consciousness, the thoughts, the patterns, the beliefs that you had whenever you created that. It can get tricky in here, but I trust you. You got this, right? So this might be in your office, your car, or like I said, a bookshelf or your spiritual space. And ask the question, does it currently match who I am now? Recognize when and how these little voices show up that say, oh no, you can't get rid of that, or oh no, this person will be mad if this happens, or oh, so and so gave you this but they're not even in your world, and so on the proverbial, if they stop by, does that need to be there? Oh, so and so loves this so much, I just want to have that here for them. And there's a beautiful thing of being grateful, and then there's a thing of weighing yourself down, right? Holding both yourself and the other to that moment. And are you, through this process, withholding yourself from allowing your current time personal preferences and dreams and desires from being seen, reflected in that space? It sounds super simple, but you might be surprised. I'd love to hear how this works for you. And again, in season 6, this is what we're working on over in Connecting with Joy. We are diving deep into how to embrace and initiate the ability for you to have not only your inner space, but your outer space reflect who you truly be. I'm super excited about both of these activities. I'd love to hear how this activity goes for you. And if you feel called to, go ahead and join us. We have a free and a paid membership area over there in Connecting with Joy, and I'd love to have you in that space. Offering you light, love, and joy, Michelle. Thank you for listening to Soulful Practices. For more information on how to work directly with me or one of my guests, check out the show notes below. We'd love for you to also let us know what parts of this episode are speaking to you and how this practice is supporting you on your healing and spiritual journey. Please share this podcast with fellow seekers, travelers. Together, we can create a wave of soul-led beings in this world, offering you light, love, and joy on your journey. Michelle Holling-Brooks. Until next time.